There are a few more iconic comic book characters than Judge Dredd and Batman, and in 1991 they were thrown together fighting for their lives in a wildly successful series that sold almost 500,000 copies, but very nearly didn't happen. Judgement on Gotham was the first of 4 Batman Judge Dredd crossovers published by DC Comics and 2000 AD publisher Fleetway in the 1990s. After hearing screams, the Caped Crusader encounters the twisted form of Archfiend Judge Death. Incinerated in the ensuing fight, Death flees in his spirit form, but while investigating the remains, Batman accidentally activates the dimension jump belt Death had stolen, transporting him to Mega City 1. There, attacked by Death's accomplice, Mean Machine Angel, Batman is arrested by Dredd while Mean uses the belt to escape to Gotham. Held for suspected vigilantism, Batman has his mind read by Judge Anderson, who explains that Death is loose in Gotham. After insisting Batman serve a 20-year sentence for his crimes before he can chase after Death, Dredd gets floored by the Dark Knight and throws him in an ISO cube. Realizing time is of the essence, Anderson breaks Batman out and heads to a functioning dimensional gate, pursued by Dredd. Meanwhile, in Gotham, while breaking into the city morgue to steal the raw materials for his fear toxin, Scarecrow encounters Judge Death's astral form, and the two team up. After Death's abortive attempt at a double cross, the pair head to a heavy metal concert to begin the killing. Meanwhile, Mean Machine smashes up a bar and is directed to the exact same concert. The fight then ensues forces Dredd, Anderson and Batman to work together to defeat Judge Death, Mean Machine and Scarecrow before the death toll rises. Written by Dredd co-creator John Wagner with his long-term writing partner Alan Grant, this first clash of giants needed an artist which could really do it justice, and fresh off his massively successful run on Slaying the Horned God, Simon Bisley was that artist. His fully painted artwork, infused with no-holds-barred heavy metal sensibilities, was a smash hit. Readers lapped up Judgement in Gotham, and it's become a timeless classic. It almost didn't make it though. With the Batman Returns film due the following year, a ban on intercompany crossovers loomed. If the strip didn't see print in December 1991, then it could have sat in limbo for years. And as the deadline pressure grew, Bisley's time-consuming art slipped further behind. Not only was Bisley being made to take ice baths to keep him awake, but editor Steve McManus then had a last-minute dash to Dublin to hand over files of the final pages to someone flying out to New York. Judgement on Gotham made it to the printers with just hours to spare. And it's a story that still holds up. Dredd and Batman, two diametrically opposed avatars for justice and the law, forced to begrudgingly respect each other. Though only after the classic moment when, echoing the famous gaze into the fist of Dredd, Batman lands a punch on the lawman. It's also a tour de force from Bisley, from his stunning splash pages to cheeky sense of humour, including revealing that Judge Death's greatest fear is cute, fluffy bunnies. After this mammoth success, a sequel was inevitable, and Vendetta in Gotham debuted in 1993. Wagner and Grant returned on writing duties, but this time it was veteran Dredd artist Cam Kennedy on art. Dredd returns to Gotham and attacks Batman, their fight playing out across the city streets while Ventriloquist and his mob infiltrate a theatre performance with a plan to attack a senator. Eventually, Dredd stops fighting and admits he's stalling. A newspaper clipping from Gotham City's very near future reveals that Batman died while saving children from an explosion caused by the ventriloquist. Then it's a race against time to get to the theatre before the bomb goes off. Vendetta in Gotham is essentially an extended fight scene, and despite having the ventriloquist as the comedy element, it misses Anderson acting as a foil for both Batman and Dredd. It's a very different beast to Judgement on Gotham, not least because of Kennedy's very different art style. But we'll come to the reason for that. The ultimate riddle continued this series, with Batman and Judge Dredd being whisked from the streets and transported to an alien world where they are forced to engage in mortal combat for the amusement of the insane intergalactic Emperor Zeno. With art by initially Carl Critchlow and then finished off by Dermot Power, the ultimate riddle came out in 1995, just in time to capitalise on the Judge Dredd movie. The painted artwork ultimately doesn't live up to the standards set by Bisley, and the galactic arena trope feels a little like the Running Man light. Die Laughing was the fourth story in the series, except it wasn't. This story was originally intended to be the sequel to Judgement on Gotham, but it became clear that artist Glenn Fabry was not going to be finished in time, so Vendetta in Gotham was commissioned as a stopgap. But even a couple of years wasn't enough time, and it wasn't until after 2 stories, and with help from Jim Murray and Jason Brashall, that Die Laughing saw print. You can see why. Fabry's pages are exquisite, beautifully rendered, and with such intensity of colour and depth that it ranks as some of the artist's best work. The story in which the dark judges manipulate the Joker into freeing them and then get themselves locked inside a sealed pleasure bunker so they can kill in peace is meatier than Vendetta and the ultimate Riddle, but is more a useful showcase for its art. The shift from Fabry to Murray and Hairsign isn't as jarring as you might fear, but it's tempting to think of what could have been. Characters crossing over into each other's strips is nothing new in comics. But the Batman Judge Dredd stories represent one of the most rewarding intercompany collaborations ever, and arguably the most successful crossover of the modern age. Anyone would assume the mixing of American superheroes with Dredd's dystopia might not work, but Wagner and Grant's gruff cynicism and taste for black humour make it work. Dredd and Batman are 2 sides of the same coin, and the friction thrown up by their absolutist moral positions created a fun dynamic with plenty for the writers to play with. The art, mostly painted, varies in quality, but there's no denying the talent on show here. From Bisley's opener to Fabry's intense showstopper, there's so much to savour. The stories also provide a helpful case study about the years when many 2000 AD talents crossed the Atlantic to work on DC and Vertigo books, and British talent and storytelling became in vogue in American comics. The stories have been reprinted several times, with the most recent editions from Rebellion and DC, including a digest collection of the first 2 stories. But what do you think about Judgement on Gotham, Vendetta in Gotham, The Ultimate Riddle, and Die Laughing Earthlets? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And is it one of your favourite Judge Dredd stories? Is it one of your favourite Batman stories? What do you think about the way the 2 characters mesh together? Make sure you subscribe to 2000 AD on YouTube and join us every Monday when we continue our journey through the galaxy's greatest comics.